Why silence is the most powerful weapon in dark psychology. Want to know the deadliest person in the room? It's not the one talking the most. It's the one who says nothing and still controls the energy. Today, I'll show you how silence, used right, becomes the ultimate dark psychology weapon. They crave validation. They chase attention. They fill every empty space with noise. They think volume equates to power. They are wrong. Silence is not emptiness. It is a vacuum that pulls in everything around it. It is the unseen pressure point, the unreadable stare, the weapon that forces others to break first. If you constantly fill the void, if you rush to speak, if you feel uncomfortable without sound, you are not in control. You are merely a reactive pawn in someone else's game. Every word you utter prematurely, every explanation you offer unasked, is a chip you give away. This isn't about being quiet. This is about becoming an unshakable presence, a silent strategist. By the end of this, you will understand how to make others squirm, over-explain, and justify, all without uttering a single syllable. You will master presence through absence. You will become the calm at the center of their storm. This is the art of psychological warfare, refined to its most lethal form. This is why silence is the most powerful weapon in dark psychology. Silence makes people reveal themselves. People hate empty space, so they fill it with truth or weakness. You step into any room, any conversation. Observe. Most individuals cannot tolerate a void. The moment a pause hangs too long and uncomfortable silence settles, their nervous system screams for resolution. They feel compelled to fill it. This compulsion, this desperate need to alleviate the tension, forces them to expose what they would otherwise guard. They will ramble, they will over-explain, they will offer unsolicited information, all to break the silence you've intentionally created. They believe they are contributing, but they are simply revealing. Think of the interrogator who says nothing, merely watches. The suspect, desperate to fill the void, starts confessing details, fabricating stories, revealing inconsistencies they never intended to share. The silence becomes a magnifying glass on their internal state, their hidden agenda, their true vulnerability. It is not your questions that break them. It is their own internal pressure, amplified by your stillness. You don't have to pry. You just have to hold the space. You become the unmoving wall against which their desperate explanations crash. This is the raw power of observation. Silence turns you into a mirror, and most people break when they look into it. The next time you ask a question, after they offer their first response, simply stay quiet. Hold your gaze. Offer no affirmation, no immediate follow-up. Watch how quickly they start talking themselves into a corner, revealing fears, insecurities, or plans they had no intention of exposing. They will give you the ammunition you need, simply because they couldn't endure the quiet. Silence builds tension, and tension equals control. Silence isn't passive, it's pressure. Understand this, silence is not a passive act. It is a deliberate application of psychological pressure. It is a slow, tightening grip. Uncertainty is a primal fear. When you offer no reaction, no predictable response, no immediate judgment, you create an unbearable vacuum in the other person's mind. They don't know what you are thinking. They don't know what you are feeling. This ambiguity is a form of torture for the reactive mind. Their internal dialogue screams for a clear signal, a predictable outcome. And because you deny them that, they begin to project their own fears, their own anxieties onto your stillness. They start guessing. They start overcompensating. They try to win you back, to elicit a response, any response, to restore their sense of control. But it is your control they are fighting. Consider a high-stakes negotiation. The amateur rattles off numbers, justifies positions, fills every lull with more talking. The master, however, states their offer, then falls completely silent. The other side, unable to bear the tension, will feel compelled to fill the void, to justify their own position, or, more often, to sweeten their deal just to break the uncomfortable quiet. They will concede ground they never intended to, simply to escape the pressure you've applied without saying a single word. When you control the silence, you control the frame. You dictate the pace, the terms, the psychological temperature of the entire interaction. Learn to hold your silence after you've made your point, after you've asked your question, after you've delivered your challenge. The tension you create is not merely discomfort. It is a lever you use to force their hand, to make them reveal their true limits, their true desires. The silence becomes a chokehold on their composure. Silence makes you unreadable and fearful. The unknown is scarier than aggression. Most people assume power is loud. It's the dominant voice, the aggressive posture, the quick retort. This is a naive understanding. True power often hides in plain sight, and nothing is more effective at concealing your true intentions than a carefully deployed silence. When you remain silent, you become a blank slate. Others cannot project their assumptions onto you because you offer no signals. They cannot predict your next move because you have revealed no pattern. This lack of information is inherently terrifying to the human mind. The unknown triggers primal fear. A raging enemy is predictable, you know where the attack will come from. But a silent, unblinking opponent, whose thoughts you cannot decipher, that is a truly dangerous adversary. They will search for any tell, any flicker of emotion, any sign of weakness or intent. And when they find none, their own internal anxiety will escalate. Consider a provocation, an insult, a direct attack designed to elicit a reaction. The amateur lashes out, defends, or gets angry. The master remains still. No words, no flinch, no change in posture. The lack of reaction is far more intimidating than any rage. It tells them your words hold no power over me. Your aggression is irrelevant. If they can't read you, they can't prepare for you. They cannot counter what they cannot define. Your silence becomes an impenetrable shield, forcing them into a state of perpetual uncertainty, leaving them vulnerable to their own fears. Practice this. When someone tries to bait you or provoke a response, simply do not give it to them. Let their words hang in the air, unanswered by your emotion. Your stillness will shatter their expectation, leaving them exposed and disarmed. Silence turns presence into power. In a world of noise, silence is rare, and rare equals valuable. We live in an era of constant noise. Everyone is oversharing, clamoring for attention, desperate to be heard, to be seen. In such a cacophony, silence becomes an anomaly. It is rare. And what is rare is instinctively perceived as valuable, as powerful. When everyone else is performing, the silent individual stands out. They appear colder, more calculating, more grounded. Their stillness implies a depth that the noisy cannot possess. It suggests an inner world so complete, it requires no external validation. This forces others to lean in. They are compelled to try and understand the source of your calm, to decipher the meaning behind your unyielding presence. It is a psychological gravitational pull. They will approach you not with demands but with curiosity. They will speak more softly, anticipating a response that is measured, not reactive. Think of the confident leader who speaks only when necessary, whose words carry immense weight precisely because they are not cheapened by constant chatter. People lean toward silence the way prey leans toward the predator's breath. They are drawn in by the mystery, by the implied control, by the sheer magnetism of someone who does not need to fill the void. Your silence does not make you invisible, it makes you a focal point. It commands attention without demanding it. To cultivate this, practice deliberate stillness in social settings. Resist the urge to join every conversation, to offer every opinion. Watch, listen, and speak only when your words can reshape the trajectory of the interaction. Let your presence speak volumes, even when your voice remains still. This is how you create gravity. Others will unconsciously follow your lead, simply because your silence has anchored the entire room. Silence disarms narcissists, manipulators, and attention seekers. Some people feed on reaction, don't give them the meat. Narcissists, manipulators, and attention seekers share a common hunger. They feed on reaction. Your anger, your defensiveness, your frustration, your validation, these are the meals that sustain their toxic behavior. When you engage, when you explain, when you argue, you are playing their game and they are winning. But what happens when you refuse to play? When you offer no reaction, no emotional currency, their entire strategy collapses. They expect a bite, a struggle, a response that confirms their power. Your silence, however, is a denial of their existence. It tells them you are irrelevant, your tactics have no hold over me. This is the ultimate disarm. They will escalate their efforts, trying desperately to elicit the familiar response. They will provoke harder, insult more, try to guilt you, all to regain control. But if you maintain your stillness, if you offer nothing, they will eventually scramble. Their performance has no audience, their manipulation no target. Silence is emotional starvation, and toxic people can't survive it. They will retreat, confused and dispowered, because you have denied them the very fuel they need to operate. The next time a toxic individual tries to bait you, to draw you into their chaos, say nothing. Do not flinch. Do not defend. Simply watch them. Let them drown in their own performance, their own desperate need for attention. Your silence is a wall against their noise, a void their ego cannot fill. This is not passive, it is a surgical strike that removes their power by denying them yours. Silence is not weakness, it's not passivity, it's pressure. its power. And when used deliberately, it becomes a weapon no one sees coming, because it doesn't move. You have now grasped a truth most people will never comprehend. The true architect of influence does not shout, does not demand, does not overtly control. They simply exist in a state of strategic stillness. Your voice, when it is eventually deployed, will carry the weight of your cultivated silence, landing with devastating precision. You will no longer be the one reacting to the world's chaos, but the calm anchor that forces the chaos to react to you. Others will find themselves oversharing, justifying, and revealing their vulnerabilities, drawn in by the vacuum of your non-response. They will attempt to read you, to predict you, and fail, leaving them in a state of unsettling uncertainty. This isn't about being cold, it's about being strategically unreadable. This isn't about being quiet, it's about making your silence the loudest statement in the room. This is the difference between being the clay and being the sculptor. You don't need to assert dominance. Your silence asserts it for you. It is the ultimate psychological advantage because it works on instinct, not logic. It is the power that leaves no trace, creates no obvious enemy, yet reshapes every interaction in your favor. This is the art of invisible dominance. Try staying completely silent the next time someone tries to bait you. Let the silence hang. Watch who flinches first. Witness how their discomfort forces their hand, how their desperate need for resolution exposes their weakness. This is not just a tactic. This is a transformation. Begin the shift. Master the silence. Become ungovernable.